Welcome, investigator. Evil is on the rise. Crime is escalating. Our mission is to eliminate the crime by exposing evil, examine why it manifests, and highlight the brave souls that confront it every day. Join us as we work together to bring justice to every victim. Welcome to All Things Crime. Here's your host, Jared Bradley.
Yeah. Well, it's so sad because it's one of these things, it's kind of cyclical. You know, it goes up and down. And I think we are re-entering, like you take NYP, New York, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I think because of that whole cycle of, strong men create good times and good times create weak men and weak men create hard times. And
Yep.
I think we are in the weak men create hard times era, and that's where we're headed. And I don't think the real hard times have actually hit yet, but they're coming. And we are going to see repercussions from the weak men that are, and women that are in charge of, like you said at the top, they are the politicians that are making the policies that reverberate all the way down and symbolically handcuff the workers at the bottom, like,
Yes.
the NYPD all the way to the garbage collector and, the plumbers and, all of these things where the bureaucrats and the politicians at the top, who are weak people, create the conditions that are so difficult on the bottom that a lot of people will basically just say, screw it. You know what? I'm in a position I can sell my business, or I'm in a position I can retire from NYPD. I'm out of here. And they are moving to stronger areas. Well, what does that do? That weakens everything else. But, everybody ultimately you have to take care of yourself. And, like I said at the very beginning of the podcast, man, welcome to free America, because, there's a whole stretch of America that the people that are living in New York and Connecticut and, Massachusetts and California, it's like, we're in Utah. And so the mass migration that we are experiencing is from California. Like literally my neighbor next door used to live in the Bay Area, and they moved up here just because they just couldn't handle it anymore. And, they're great people. I love them. They're fantastic neighbors. And, those kind of people, as long as you're not bringing your California politics with you, you're welcome.
Yes.
But,
yes,
the first time you start spouting off, hey, we need to, raise taxes and be more lenient on drug use, man, that's not going to go over well here. And you get up into Idaho and Texas and Wyoming and places like that, and it's really not going to go well. And, but the key is we have to prepare ourselves, because the really tough times are coming. And, it's here. Like I said, at the very beginning, 5 million people have come into this country illegally in the last 2 years. And I just saw a video by my friend Michael Yon, where he's down in Panama, and he was recording some of these people that are getting on trucks and buses to be moved up into Costa Rica, and eventually they're on their way here. A high 90% of them, probably 97, 98% of them are young men. They are working age men, military age men. And when they get here and they don't see the paved streets with gold and free meals and, free 4-star hotels, some of them are going to be like, well, you know what? I'll go find a job and I'll become a good working citizen. But a whole bunch of them are going to be like, you know what? If I see somebody that does have what I want, I'm going to take it. And which is exactly why, carjackings and all those kind of things are like, I know in Minneapolis, I was up there with training the Hennepin County Sheriff Crime Lab. And when I was up there about, a year and a half ago, carjackings were up over 400%. And you know what? That kind of, those kind of statistics are just going to keep increasing if we don't do something about it.
Jared, that is it's entirely correct. And I think the way again, I am in no position to make any policy, but I saw recently that President Biden had gone down to Texas to a border town. And like 72 hours before he got down there, it was the cesspool, tents on the street, needles, homeless, people staying out there. The guy comes down there, completely clean. Nothing to see here. I want to know who did that. And dragged them before the House Judiciary Committee, and they should be incarcerated. Because what you're doing is you're hiding a problem. You're downplaying a crisis that is not only affecting Arizona and Texas and these southern states, but as you eloquently pointed out, Minneapolis, Chicago, New York, DC. I mean, I thought it was hysterical that 2 busloads of migrants just got dropped off in front of the vice president's residence. Like, whoa. Like, have that with your morning Cheerios. But
yeah, well, she's the border czar.
Allegedly. my spin on that, Jack, I'm actually glad you said that, border czar. Now, unfortunately, in today's world, a lot of it is political. Like, we're two sensible, reasonable men here, and it is political. Policies are driven by people in power, okay? And look, you could love or hate President Trump and Vice President Pence. That's your own opinion. I respect it. To your viewers, to your listeners. But you have to admit that the policies were amazing. You were paying, on average, what? I think it was $1.87 when Trump came in. It was like $2.37 when the man left. It's $3.55 down the street from me. At one point, we were approaching like $4.65. And I'm in Florida. I have a cousin that lives in California. It was like $8.75 a gallon of regular. That is absurd. Okay. Yeah. And with the economic issue, you now have the problem with the open border. Very simple. Again, you can either love the man or you can hate the man. The immigration problem wasn't that bad under Trump. The border wasn't as open as, it is now because of whatever went on behind the scenes, way above my pay grade. But the Mexican government got involved and these caravans stopped. Who's entitling these people to come here? Why aren't they being stopped? Those are the questions that should be asked. Now, we have a vice president that's a border czar, but she'll take photo ops in donut shops and coffee spots. She went to a part of Texas that I don't think has any issue really with the migrant. I get it. It's a southern state, so you can kind of spin it that way. But go to the Rio Grande or El Paso. Like get in the heart of it. Oh, And, a lot of these politicians are starting to do that. And all right, we have a serious problem. And
well, they can't hide it anymore, which is the biggest problem.
You physically can't. You have droves of people coming in here and branches are seeing them, common citizens are seeing them, even their own Democrat mayors in these border states are like, hey, big guy, what are you doing? We need help down here. And you have to start getting tougher and stopping this. And if that's getting on the phone with these governments, all right, we're going to hit you 25% tariffs, everything, going, coming in, going, however you want to work it out. I'm not an economic guy. Hit them with sanctions, or you know what? Stop aid. The power of the dollar. We send X amount of dollars to you yearly, quarterly, monthly, whatever. All right, it stops. You'll be surprised. All of a sudden now, things start slowing down. And that's what happened. But that's strong leadership. And we don't have that right now, in my opinion.
No, and we again,
have. I'll refer to the southern border. You know what I'm saying?
You look at Katie Hobbs, who just took over the governor of Arizona. Of all the problems in Arizona, the first thing she does, so they didn't have border wall. I think when they were actually building the wall, they were focused more on eastern section of California and then mostly Texas. But the previous Arizona governor had taken all these huge shipping containers and put them all along the Arizona border, and they were stacked too high. And you've seen these shipping containers, like 10 feet tall. So you had 20 feet worth of containers and then concertina wire and all this stuff, to protect the Arizona border. her very first act was to take all that down. She got all that removed. And it cost Arizona, I don't know, $70 million to get all these shipping containers removed. But, you're talking wasting $70 million to put them there and then 70 million more to remove them. But more importantly,
why'd you remove them?
You have massive numbers of drugs and human trafficking and sex trafficking and, illegal migrations coming across the area. And now you've just removed hundreds of miles of barrier to protect your own citizens. And again, weak leaders, but hey,
it's true.
We could go about on this all day, but here, before we end, I got to ask you, as a detective, let's shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
As a detective, you had to have seen hundreds of cases that were, ranging anywhere from, hey, you know what, we found a kid that was missing and, returned him to her family, all the way to just absolutely horrific things. So what, of all of those, what was the worst case you ever had to deal with?
That's a good question. So honestly, I have two, but I'll give you the fact pattern and then I'll let you choose because this is your podcast and I have no problem. I could come back. I could speak about the other one. I'll leave it to you.
All right. I'll hold you to that.
Absolutely. So the first one, and this is in no particular order, I had a kid from Meriden, Connecticut, who was innocently shot in gang violence in the Bronx. And that investigation, whoa, that was up and down. And then I had one towards getting towards the end of my career. It was around like 2016-ish, give or take 2017, where she was an immigrant, came here, established herself, her and her family, and wound up getting killed and was found in her home, buried under a floor covered with river rock in a closet. I'll let you choose which one you want to hear right now.
Oh,
I'll tell you both of them.
Well, we've talked a lot about immigration, so let's go with the second one.
So we're going to go to the second one. Okay. So this case, her name was Andrea Carruth. Andrea was, I want to say, in her mid to late 30s, okay? And she lived at 3242 Corsair Avenue. This case is long over, went through the process. The defendant's in jail now for 25 years. So this started out as a missing case, believe it or not. It was a Sunday. She made plans to go out with her girlfriend, Miss McCall, and they were going to kind of like have a ladies' day, And her live-in boyfriend at the time, this gentleman by the name of Lincoln, okay, was in bed, hardworking dude, construction guy. Basically, she's getting ready to leave. Hey, I'm going out. All right, I'll see you later. It was like his first Sunday off in a while. He goes kind of like back to sleep. I would have done the same thing. I'm sure you would have done the same thing. All right, later. I get to sleep on my only day off. So, and that was the last time Lincoln actually had sees her again. And this is Sunday now. So now it's coming up to Monday morning, and just to like backpedal a little bit, she lives in the Bronx. It's an attached brick home, and it has 3 levels. So the downstairs level, so when you walk into the front door, the main level, she reconverted to a daycare. I believe the daycare was called Kitty College. And it was for local residents of the community, of the Baychester community, where she would take care of their kids. Daycare worker. Her sister had one up the block. So like you could arguably say they were like kind of cornerstones or cornerstone citizens of their community. And, she reconverted the middle of her floor to this daycare center. And then you go upstairs, and that was the living quarters where her and Mr. Grant resided. And then downstairs, sealed off and somewhat locked from the upstairs, was a 1-bedroom apartment or studio that was converted to an apartment where her father, Mr. William Carruth, lived. And life went on day to day, except on this tragic day in January. It was actually January 4th, 2016, if memory serves me. And, Monday morning, Lincoln goes to get up. She's not home. He starts calling her. Nothing. Goes downstairs, finds her cell phone, her wallet, and her keys are still here. That's a little interesting. So he gets on her phone and starts going down, her contacts and gets a hold of Miss McCall. Calls her up, and at first, Julie wasn't picking up. Well, the reason why she wasn't picking up is because Lincoln thought Andrea went with Julie, Miss McCall, and she never made it. Miss McCall thought she got stood up and was very angry, so she wasn't picking up the phone. Finally, she picks up the phone. And he was like, hey, is Andrea with you? It's Monday morning. I got to start my day, and she ain't home. Like, everything all right? And at first, like, it didn't click, but she was like, you're calling me from her phone. She would never leave without her phone. What do you mean? She's like, did you call the police? Like, you need to call the police. So she's not with me. I haven't seen her or spoken to her since yesterday. She never came to brunch. So, like, now the alarm goes off. So he calls the police. Patrol comes, takes initial report. Technically, she's not. She's an adult. She has no mental, physical disabilities or conditions that were documented or that were made known to the patrol officers. So she's not technically missing, but it was like bone chilling temperatures. So, like, all right, there's a little bit of cause of concern. So that was Monday. So Tuesday, I get a phone call. I come into work, and somehow I got notified on the missing. They probably gave my name in the run sheet that we have. Who was up next for the next case? And, hey, look, here you go, buddy. So, I mean, the phones were ringing off the hook. And I remember looking up, and I'm looking at, I think it was News 12, and like, we catch a shooting or something last night. Like, that really looks like it's either 4-7 or the 4-9. They're like, you could tell by like the block and how the houses was, constructed or what have you. But the phones are ringing. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, yeah, 4-7 SWAT, Detective Flood. And then all of a sudden it's call. Like, hello, Detective Flood. I go, yes. Do you have my friend Andrea's missing case? I'm like, I have like no idea what she's talking about. I'm like, hold on 1 second. So I'm like, put her on a brief phone. I'm like, did we get just a special missing? So I'm like, I'm running through, and of course my name is notified and it's in my queue, but I had an arrest the day before, so I didn't look at it. So I start reading it, like, I start talking to her. What's going on? I could see the patrol responded. They did a canvas. Nothing to report. I mean, maybe she's with a friend. She's like, she's been missing now since Sunday. I'm like, Sunday? So I look at the date of the report, and the occurrence date was this Sunday. It's like, it's not like Tuesday or whatever. Like, okay. It's like, where are you right now? She's like, well, I'm in front of the house. And at that point, I could see her on the TV, like, all right, it is like, why is the media there? She's like, I called the media because we weren't getting results. I go, all right, Julie, I'm going to head out there. Give me a few minutes, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. So I hang up the phone. I look at my partner and I go, we may have a problem. So I pull the police report. I pull the complaint report. My boss is there. I go, hey, Sarge, listen, Jimmy White, great guy. I said, Jimmy, we may have something here. I don't know. This lady called up. This is the particulars. I'm going to go downstairs and talk to the patrol boss. The cop I saw, this kid Ayubi. He's downstairs. Let me just get all right, maybe she's cheating on this dude. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I go down there. And Ayubi's like doing kind of like jumping jacks. Like, I got to talk to you. And I'm like, hang on. Sure. So I go to the patrol with that. I say, hey, boss, what's going on with this missing? I just got a phone call. Not going to lie to you. I think the media's out there now. Like, he's like, well, no, nothing. So the kid's still doing like, hey, come here. So I walk over. I'm like, hey, what's up? He goes, listen, we went there yesterday. It's on Corsair Avenue. And he starts going through this whole thing. And we did a search. And there were these like 2 black 3M garbage bags. I mean, these things like construction garbage bags. I go, okay. And one of them had a distinctive like triangular cut. Like you could see, like it was like a kind of like a tear. I'm like, okay, what was in the bags? I don't know. Should look. He goes, no, but there appeared to be like a brown, and I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, a brown what, buddy? He's like, I don't know. I'm not going to say it was blood, but I I told the boss, and we didn't know what it was. There was a leaky pipe there, could have been rusted water. I said, okay. So I took a mental note of that. So I go to the lieutenant. At this point, my partner comes out. I go, Wiz, grab the boss. We got to go out there right now. This is just like, it was like one of these fibers like on the back of my neck. Like, this does not sound. So I looked at the patrol lieutenant. I said, look, had this kid, the patrol sergeant that responded, and as many cops as you can get, meet me over at 3242 Corsa. This is a missing, but there's something more there. Not like, why is the media of like, what's going on? He goes, all right, no, we'll go over there, Chris. So we fly over there, and at that point we come up. It's me, my partner, and my boss. Patrol starting to show up. Cameras there. Cameras already there. So like, all right, guys, let's kind of like strategically move them back and like, let's go inside the house. And that's when we met Mr. Carruth, William Carruth, Andrea's dad. I think he was like eating some porridge or something. There was another family friend, and her name is escaping me. We'll call her the assistant to the daycare. She was there. So we immediately start talking. Last time I saw Andrea, what the layout is, show me the daycare, we're checking doors. So now in a missing case, so you have the patrol response now, I'm the squad. This is the squad response. So I looked at Mr. Carruth. I'm talking to the assistant daycare where I'm like, we're going to check the house. So we're already here. We checked the daycare. Obviously, there's only but so many little cubby holes where reasonably you can find an adult female in her mid-30s.
Right.
Thanks for joining us. Your attention today brings us one step closer to exposing and eliminating the evil that brings crime to our communities. Hit subscribe and share this episode. Together, we will bring justice to every victim.